This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast. Did you guys see this? This is unbelievable. What is that all about, Kinger?
Get in here for the real thing. Like, let's get weird.
Maybe I blacked out trying to figure out what was going on.
Doubt, worry, fear, because that's what we're breaking the mold on here.
Welcome to Wild on 7th, presented by Pilot Games. We're here until it's here.
Confidence is tough to gain and easy to lose. And sometimes it can take a long time to build it back up. But when you're doing the right things, when you're in shape, when you train properly, when you're fresh, and you compete and you do all the right things, it will come back. And I expect it to.
And we're back to This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast presented by Pilot Games. This episode's going to be Billy puts a bow on it. We've got Billy Garen in here. We're recording Monday. They've already had the exit meetings, 48 hours to think about it, let things sink in. But we're going to spend 20, 30 minutes here before we bring Billy into the fold. It's going to be, I think, a good show. But as it may be Billy putting a bow on it, we want to make sure that we cover a lot of bases. So one of those is going to be thanking our sponsors for the show, and that is Pilot Games. Make sure that when you're out enjoying your libations, your pull tabs, and different things, that you use their products, because when you do, your community wins. We also have to throw in a quick little thanks to the other sponsors in Jimmy's, Cub, Wild Construction, Aquarius Home Services, T-Rex Cookies. We wouldn't be here without you guys, so a quick little moment at the start of the show to say thanks for that. Now it's time to bring in our boy John King, who looks a little distraught because he had to watch NASCAR this weekend instead of Wild playoff hockey. So how are you feeling?
I'm wearing my golf shirt because we're not in the playoffs. It's weird, man. I got, what do they say, idle minds make bad things happen, something like that. These are just some of the things that I've been doing. I have listened. Taylor Swift released like 50 albums. I'm pretty much current on that. Listened to a lot of it, some of it multiple times, have opinions on it.
Yeah, I want to hear the opinion after you're through this.
I will. I did watch NASCAR. I did watch the playoffs. Winnipeg, Colorado was a treat. That was like a 1980s hockey game with 13 goals, some violence. Yeah, man, it's weird. Maybe gonna do Timberwolves-ish.
Is that hard? That's hard.
That's hard. PWHL, they lost. I don't know. I'm kind of wandering. I could join a cult. I'm vulnerable. If I were on a college campus and there was a pole with signs "Come get new shoes, drink a drink," I would probably check it out. It's not good. It's been years. I love spring hockey. You have to be the same way. You work all the time.
I've noticed some weird things happening.
Are you doing?
I'm growing a playoff beard. I don't know if you can.
Good. Okay. For
tell.
next year.
Yeah.
For next year.
Might take a year for somebody to be able to notice.
Tell now that you pointed it out. So how has your life changed? Are you
I got a twitch in my eye now.
Are you super dad? Are you re-bottling honey? Are you talking about apples? What are you doing?
Honestly, my wife, when the season ends and it's over, she thinks that my time is now her time. So she's got me on a full bathroom remodel, and it took 12 hours for her to have this stuff at home ready to go. So that's what I've been doing.
She's basically okay, Ryan, welcome. I'm going to have you watch a quick video on how we do things here at the Carter household, and we'll get you started by 9 o'clock. The benefits person will meet with you at the end of the day. So you're just fully enlisted in the family now?
Yeah, but that's where to her, I said, do you listen to the podcast? You probably should, because Wild Construction could take care of
exactly. This. Why are we doing this?
What are you doing?
She's having you make coleslaw.
Yeah. No, but a lot of taxi driving, or I should say transporting from sport to sport. So
what sports are we into?
A lot of soccer, hockey, lacrosse. So 4 lacrosse games yesterday, Sunday, 2 hockey games.
There was a big tournament. Wonder if you were in the same tournament. My brother's daughter was in some tournament in Duluth.
No.
Yeah, some super team won it. I don't know.
Yeah, we were in Eden Prairie, Meltdown.
How'd you do?
Good tourney. They finished second, so they lost in the championship by a large margin.
So are you in like you're in the era of your life with like the Dick's folding chairs and the sunflower seeds and like
Totally.
doing cell phones on sidelines and
Yep.
stuff. Okay.
I've got
That's a good
rocking chair envy. So like
Yeah.
if you want to show up to the field with like a rickety old lawn chair, like it's kind of like
I'm past that. I sit on my front porch now.
Yeah.
My kids are in other states. I'm like
But
I'm in hospice.
you look at lawn chairs like they're vehicles. Like there's the Cadillac where they're like rocking back and forth.
That's right.
And
Some
then
of
there's
them
the ones
can rock.
you pull out of a bag, and that's I don't know that.
I always had the
that'd be like
broken one with like the
Pinto.
one strap that would hang down.
Yeah.
And maybe like you can't put your
Oh,
drink in
they
it.
got a cup holder.
Yeah, no, I had
Where'd you get that?
I had junk. Well, that's good. So summer, I mean, tallies will be open May 1st. No free ads, but I think maybe we'll spend some time together. We got free time. You
Getting
never
the itch.
know.
I haven't swung the sticks yet, but the golf course looks good out the back window.
Yeah, maybe play gem. That'd be good. So I had a couple notes before Billy gets here. This LA game was great. Okay, I know we lost to Seattle, but to beat a good team, Kirill smirking his way around Hollywood. This back check reverse hit that he did in that game was amazing. Hartsey blocking a shot up 2-1 late. Like, I needed that LA victory. I needed to beat a good team. I think that's the game where somebody sent me this video of Faber just dissecting one of their players defensively, just owning a guy. I mean, there was a lot to like in that game. What did you think? I think it was a national game, so you were probably like driving somewhere.
Yeah, we came home after the San Jose game, and we recorded, I think, the Monday of that game, the last recording. But it was good. It was good to see. Like their fate was set. They knew they were out. They also know they knew the narrative that, oh great, you can beat San Jose, but now can you can't beat Vegas. You can't beat St. Louis, the Colorado. The good teams beat you, but you beat the teams that you should. So I think it was good for them mentally. I think that they understood that, so they went out and played in such a way that I think that they wanted to show that they can beat a good team. There was some swagger. Now it's interesting, and I have to ask Billy about this when he gets here. There was comments about like being a mentally soft team, and I kind of want clarification on that because
Russo. How about when Russo asked him that, and he was like, "Oh, they said that? They said that they were fragile."
And when I hear that our players say that we were mentally fragile, I'd agree with them. And if they said that they weren't competitive enough in the big games, I think that's what you said, I would agree. And the guys we have to find our swagger again. We had swagger. We had confidence. We had a lot of FU in our game, and we need to find it. And we didn't have it this year. And that's in my mind, you have to be a playoff team, to be a championship team. You have to have that confidence and that swagger and that resiliency to be able to overcome things like injuries.
He agreed with it, but he was like, "Oh, we're calling ourselves soft."
But that's where it's a little odd, I think, because that is such a serious dagger. Like that one hurts. You could say you weren't good enough. You can say a lot of different things, but to say that you were like mentally soft, that or fragile, that one stings a little bit, and that needs to be like fixed or repaired. And I think that was taken out of context a little bit. I think I think what they meant was that they just didn't have the swagger that they had. They weren't fragile or mentally soft. We kept waiting for what we call that were moments. We kept waiting for moments on the season where they're going to have a statement win, where they're going to be down by 2 in the third. They're going to rally back. They're going to score with 6 on 5. First shift to OT. They're going to win the draw, go down, score. Statement type of wins. They didn't have those moments, and I think that's what they were alluding to is like they could never get out in front of the momentum and ride the wave. They were always chasing it. Like they're on the surfboard, paddling to catch the wave, and it seems to crest right in front of them. They never got to ride it. That's what I think they probably meant. I don't now mentally soft and fragile is different, so we've got to ask them on that. But I think that in the LA game, they showed resolve. They wanted to play a certain way. They did. They could. They executed, and they proved a point to themselves.
Yeah, they battled. I thought there were some good things. This is the play I wanted to show you. It's pretty interesting. You can kind of watch this and just talk about it. So there's this play where I think it's LA. The guy's going, and you just watch Faber just dissect this guy defensively for basically the entire piece down the ice. So I thought it was interesting to find out he had broken ribs, Brock, for a couple months, it sounds like. And I think one of my favorite moments from that post-game press conference was when Garen looks at Heinz and's like, yeah, Faber's not going to World Championships, unless you want to take him injured. And he goes, I'll take him with one rib. I thought that was pretty good. But so he's been banged up. I wonder if he was wearing a flak jacket or what do you do? I know you can't do anything for ribs, but I wouldn't have guessed he was injured watching him play. Did you get a sense of that, upper body?
No, I didn't. There's different levels of like broken ribs, and I think that's like a general term too. That
could just be contusion or something.
That could be taken out of context. I think there's cracked ribs, and then there's like broken ribs. I think that's different. I also think that you can dislocate the cartilage between the ribs, which is almost as painful as breaking a rib. But you have to be. The reason I say that is a lot of doctors won't let you play with a broken rib, because that's the weak point, and then if you get hit again, that rib can break and then puncture your lung, and then now you have serious issues. So
you're saying soften that one up a little bit.
I question on if he was really playing with like a broken rib.
Hey, Kinger, put your chainsaw away and stop doing a Faber sculpture.
We'll have to ask him.
All right. We'll
have to ask him. But
I'm just trying to make him a saint.
The year-end meetings, they do release some of these things, and like he was tough. This was a situation that
they send messages too. I think.
Yeah. There's different stuff
there's coded things.
Yeah,
and the reporters are doing it to him, even when it's like. Well, as you know, Billy, the whole team said that they buckled under pressure this year. And then you have, like, Bill Garen, like, what?
They said that?
Come again?
They said that? How do I counter that?
Could you tell me which specific person said that? No, I think it's amazing.
But I do want to, because I'm going to ask Billy this. We've talked at length, I think, about how impressive Faber was on the ice. And now I want to ask Billy how he felt Faber was able to handle that stuff off the ice, because it is hard not to let success get to your head at 20, 21 years old. And Faber was able to do that. Now, as much as his number was called on the ice, leg over the board, 25 minutes a night, it was requested off the ice too. Like, do this, do that, do this, do that. And he's probably heard ad nauseum how great he is, expectations, answering questions. And that stuff at times can be harder to work through and to deal with than the stuff on the ice. Because, like, you've been playing the game of hockey your whole life. Like, you can adjust, you can hear some coaching, and you can fine-tune quickly. The thing that he's probably never been exposed to is the amount of attention that he was able to get off of the ice, or the amount of attention he got off the ice, and requests from the media, articles, stories, you name it. Not to mention all the stuff like having to come on the podcast or having to do this or that. It's just a lot for a young guy to handle. And we talk about how great he was on the ice. Now, couple that with all the stuff he had to do off the ice. And it doesn't surprise me that they'd prefer him not to go to the World Championships, because he's had double the amount of games that he's ever had on his body this year. Not to mention 25 minutes a night, which I think is probably 6th or 7th in the NHL total. Like, he ranks in the league that high. He played all 82 games and all the stuff off the ice. Like, you should almost just put the guy in like some cabin up on Gull Lake for 30 days and say, just hang out here, don't do anything.
A cryo chamber.
Yeah, with a cryo chamber, a hot tub. I don't know.
So he needs a place he could go near a lake with an extra room and a laid back atmosphere. Like a cigar room maybe attached to the garage. No yard work, small yard.
Close to like the cities.
Close to the cities and his family. Okay. We'll see if we can find something for him. I think Billy's going to be great because if he shows up, we'll see. Who knows? There's no one here today, right? So
There's people skating. Guys
are
that
there?
are going to the World Championships.
okay, good. So we should do NHL playoffs for a second too. But so Billy did all the State of the Union, official, C-SPAN, blue suit, lapel pin, red tie. We could get him on the exhale. We could get Billy just kind of gets the shoulders loose today. Maybe have a real conversation with Mr. Billy Bob Garen. William Robert. Have I ever asked him about his middle name? We covered that, so he's a Billy Bob. Good. Billy Bob Garen. So NHL playoffs, you did not do a bracket, or you did?
I didn't, but I have teams that I've picked.
You're hot on Winnipeg?
Yeah.
The evil empire that they're
I'd
so
also be
good.
hot on LA. If LA had a goaltender, I'd be hot on LA. So what I think happens in the playoffs too are your best defensive teams start to win more. So teams that were really good defensively, I think have a leg up on the teams that were great offensively.
Yep.
We all know that the game changes in time and space becomes scarce. But the teams that I think are just tighter defensively, on the same page in their reads and their switches and everything else, and then when you do make a mistake, you've got the goaltender to bail you out. Those are the teams I think that probably survive a little bit longer. I think Winnipeg's one of those teams.
They are nasty. I watched them, and they just have so many dudes that I even forgot about a lot of them.
They're big. They're big. They have like a checking line. Their D are good. Goaltender, obviously. LA, I think, could be similar, but they just don't have the goaltender.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. Should we start with Mr. Garen here? He just walked in.
Yeah.
He's looking good. Yeah, let's go. We can maybe do a little snip at the end here, but Billy just walked in, so we'll get him set up and put a bow on it with Billy here.
All right, Kinger, hold on. I know Billy's waiting, but before we give him a seat, we've got to get a word from our sponsors here.
Oh, hey there. Get in here. Hey, get in here. Get in here. Get in here!
So, Carts, it turns out a 6-ounce burger, not a slider.
Yeah, it is a full burger.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty big burger.
You need a big bun.
So this weekend, it was nice yesterday. I grilled. I got the Cub Pub burgers, which sounds cool, Cub Pub. And I did the jalapeno and cheese, 2 of those and one of a regular one. I loved them. Easy. You're not going to mess them up on the grill. You kind of wait for them to get the juices on top, maybe a one flip. We did some coleslaw, of course. We did some baked beans. It was delicious. It was spicy. So a lot of times when people put the stuff in the burgers or the brats, it all just drips out. It was just jam-packed. It looked like it was like Fruity Pebbles, all this cheese and jalapenos, and I thought it was awesome. I was kind of trying to get more validation from my wife, but it's weird to toot your own horn to be like, yeah, these are really good, But yeah, I'm a big fan. So check those out as the weather gets nice. Head over to our friends at Cub and pick up some pub burgers. Highly recommend the jalapeno and cheese.
But I am excited to announce that Aquarius Home Services is hosting its biggest event of the year, their open house at the Little Canada location, running May 3rd to May 5th. And get ready to see his incredible savings on essential home services. It's where I go to get my filters and everything else I need because, yes, I am a handyman this time of year. But if you have HVAC needs, more Connecticut water treatment systems like the OS, which I have, any of their products, generators, you name it, they'll have it, and they'll have exclusive deals at this event. So you're not going to want to miss it. They do a great job too. They've got tents out back, barbecue. You go there, you get your ticket, you get your food, bring the kids. They've got a petting zoo, and in the store they've got everything on a deep discount. It's the time of year to buy all your stuff. It's kind of their customer appreciation open house. Make sure you swing by there. Again, that's May 3rd to May 5th at their Little Canada location. Aquarius believes in earning the right to be recommended. They're just a click away at Aquarius Home Services.
And you're there the whole whole time, or
I go there for like 2 hours. I mean, it takes.
are you like in a dunk tank?
I'm a
or what
super
are you
fast
doing?
eater, so it takes me about 4 minutes to eat. It's good.
So you go as a
good
spectator.
barbecue.
You're not like a
I go as a patron.
okay. You're not part of the programming. Like you're not.
No.
Signing things or doing a dunk tank.
No, I go as a patron.
I like that. Okay,
Maybe
so
we
this
should
is
work out a deal where I do go there for that.
Well, you got
If
tallies.
I was in a dunk tank, would you show up?
yeah,
Okay, we can do that.
we got tallies opening up May 1st. Go straight into the Aquarius like open house. It's going to be a great May.
Yeah.
Down to the World Championships a week later.
All right, now you're getting nervous now because Billy's waiting. Let's get him in.
We got a little Duke Cannon interview. If your hair is a weapon or you wish it was, no better place than Duke Cannon for men's grooming products. Work harder, smell better.
We got a treat. We got the big boy, the GM, the future of American-born hockey for the next handful of years as well, headed to the World Championship. William Robert Garen, and he's in too many Hall of Fames to count, and it's always fun when Billy G comes over here we're going to let her hair down a little bit. This is not the same BS interview you've done the last week probably 10 times. We're going to shave our legs in the sauna a little bit with you. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's get loose. Thanks for coming in on a Monday too. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
What's it like to walk in a room and then just instantly like take it over and scare people? Because we were in the midst of a podcast. You walked in and John was.
I was like, oh,
Can we get to Billy?
I do not mean to. I try not to scare people.
Ryan's like, so then I told my daughter I loved her. I'm like, hey, Ryan, Billy just walked in.
I just wanted to be on time. That's it.
Well, I would imagine your players have some of the same effects, so that's all right.
That's great.
You come at him first, Karts. What do you want to know?
Well, first of all, how are you feeling?
I feel great. It's been
A journey.
it's been a hell of a, 2 months dealing with this back issue, and got a great surgeon, Dr. Kevin Mullaney, fixed me up, and it was worse than I thought.
Which part? So, I don't know how much people know or not, but if you're comfortable sharing, but you had a back problem, then a surgery, then another one, and
then another
you've
one.
been battling it.
3, and it. I just battled it, and I had never dealt. I didn't have the worst thing I ever had in my playing days with my back were back spasms, and that. I mean, hey, look, that'll put you out for a couple, but it's not like structurally wrong.
Yeah, it's not constant.
This was. And so many people have had this that I've talked to, and it's, what is it, L5S1? Yeah. And, I went in for I think like a discectomy type, and then it just didn't take. It was a lot worse than that. So then we did a fusion, and then we had to do one more thing at the end, but it all worked out. I'm pain-free now, which is nice. I'd never dealt with nerve pain in my life.
Oof.
And it is awful. It is awful. And for people out there that have it, I sympathize, and it's brutal, but nope, Dr. Mullaney fixed me up. I'm good to go.
Will it change you as a GM? Because you hear players like, "Oh, my back," or "I've got nerve pain," and now like maybe there's a little more sympathy. Because if you've never experienced it, you're like,
Yeah,
okay, we'll give you a week or something. You should be okay. Or
Yeah, I don't know. I remember when I was a younger player, and I think I was watching, so I was in New Jersey, but I was watching the Rangers play somebody, and Mark Messier was out with back spasms. I'm like, what the hell are back spasms? Like, you can't miss games for back spasms, can you? Mark was like Mess was in like his 30s or whatever. I'm 22, so I didn't deal with that stuff. But then I'm in my late 30s, and I experience what back spasms are, and they're brutal.
yeah,
Like you just lock up. But
it also doesn't make sense.
But yeah, you
just chill out.
Any back pain's just sucks.
It's the worst.
Young Billy's like, the back's a long ways from the heart.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then we played them 2 weeks later, and he elbowed me in the face, and it's like, He's like, I heard you thinking about that.
I heard the sound of the back spasm.
You want to talk about scary?
You're gonna look down on me?
No, you want to talk about scary? That was a scary guy.
Mess?
Really?
Oh my God, he was so strong, and just mean, I remember
That's a scary combo.
I remember
good.
we were playing at the Meadowlands, and he was cutting across the blue line. And I'm coming the other way. I'm like, I am going to lay him out.
You got him.
And he's got the puck. And he sees me coming out of the corner of his eye, and I go to hit him, and he just lifts his stick up, like leaves the puck, and goes, bump, right in my face.
Really?
And then just keeps going with the puck. And I'm going to the bench. I'm like, right wing.
So he knew.
Oh, he knew it was.
That's also those moments
knew
where
it
you're
was
like,
coming.
gosh, that guy, like he knew what I was going to do
He knew
before I knew.
Oh, it was like that whole puck control thing. Like he never lost control of the puck, elbowed me in the face, and then just kept making plays. And I had to go for a change because my nose was on the other side of my face.
I wouldn't know what that's like.
No, you wouldn't. Yeah, but he was terrifying. He was.
So when can you get back to like full go? Like is
golf.
the golf membership up for grabs? Can I rent it for the summer? Are you going to be able to play?
You can rent it for the next. I would say, where are we now? I'd say you can rent it for the next 5 weeks.
Deal.
All right, great. But I don't even know what my timeline is. I'm giving myself to mid-June to get back on the golf course. But I've been telling everybody I've got a pretty high pain tolerance and I'm not that bright, so it's probably the beginning of June. So,
well, maybe we'll phrase it like this: for not making the playoffs, you're mentally punishing yourself until June, until the playoffs are over. You won't be playing golf because you shouldn't be anyways.
yeah,
I like
I'd say
that.
mid-June.
So you got the World Championships, which we'll get into, but what is this? The Garen summer, as I recall, you go to maybe Jersey and you eat sandwiches and gas stations for the summer or something Wawa. So what is that? What's the plan after World Championships? Or are you going to be in Mini? Where are you going to be?
I'll be here a lot.
Okay.
I think we'll be doing a lot of back and forth. You guys know how it is. You have kids and you have busy lives, and summer fills up like that. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know. I don't know why I'm even attempting to answer the question. I have to go home. I'll have to ask Kara what the plan is, and we'll spend some time in New Jersey. I know that, and go to Wawa every day.
That's good.
And I don't know.
Karts did a bathroom remodel already.
Started.
Oh, really? Did you do it yourself?
I'm doing part of it. Like the easy stuff. My wife,
Like what?
like the season ended. My wife, I don't know if it's like this with you. When my wife knows.
I got a bad back. I can't do anything.
Well, exactly. That's what I start complaining about. I have the same. But the season ends, and she's like, "Oh, that's great. Now he's mine." So now she's just like has this honey-do list that's like it never ends. Like do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. We're doing a bathroom remodel. I didn't know if you know that, Ryan. Oh yeah, it starts today. Here's all your stuff.
Here's your hard hat.
Great, yeah.
And your weight belt.
Do you know what though? I like the honey-do list. I
tell me
like
more.
it because it takes the thinking out of it for me. Because if she's relying on me to think of stuff to do around the house, it will not get done. If she takes a list and she's like, "Here you go," I'm like, "Okay, I can do that."
We're the same.
Yeah. No, that's true.
What and the more physical labor, the better. Like if you
Like
need
with your hands, you got to be working with the hands.
Yes, if you need me to, if
fill
call
out a
somewhere
spreadsheet,
and no, I
Give me a hammer and a nail. Yes, it will get done.
yeah, that stuff will, go outside and move a bunch of rocks. Like, yes, that will get done.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Playoffs started. As a GM, do you watch a ton? It's been a while since the Wild were on the outside looking in. Are you like, I gotta take some time. I can't. Like this is too fresh. Or are you like watching games? Or what's your mentality with playoff hockey right now?
I will eventually watch. I didn't watch last night. I just, I didn't watch. I just didn't feel like watching last night.
Yeah, no, it's.
But I did. My son was texting me about the
Colorado
Winnipeg game. He's like, "Dad, you got to turn this on." He's like, "This game's unbelievable." Like, I'm like, "Oh God,
It was a lot.
can't."
Yeah, I know.
I know, and it just.
It was. It's.
I'll get there. I'll get there this week, but last night, no.
I'll just do one. This is one of the things I was looking at was because we used to talk about the 7 Street Savages on this podcast a lot, because there's been different iterations of the Wild when you've been at the helm that are just nasty. I think we led the league in majors again this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I'm watching this playoff stuff yesterday, and just size and violence and grit. Big and
We did?
I think so.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Big enough, mean enough. I'm going to be curious with the World Championships, because it's a unique opportunity. You get to build a team with sort of all the pieces. It's like a dream team, right? An American dream team, right? It's different than the constrictions you have with the Wild. But when you think of playoff hockey, how important is size and strength and violence, or can you sort of slip your way through it? I just don't know the era we're in.
I think you. Well, I want to be clear. I'm not the GM for this World Championship team. Brett Peterson is the assistant GM in Florida, and he's done a fantastic job. Look at it's always better to have size, but you need speed, you need skill. The best thing for me is when your best players are tough, and in a way where they compete at the highest level. They can they can withstand, physical abuse, get through hard, mentally challenging times, go into opposing buildings that are like, it's hard to play in Winnipeg, but can your best players be their best at their best in that environment? That's what I want from toughness. But yeah, like the physical part of it, I think plays a role in that too. And you have to have, some bigger guys that can knock it around. But you need the skill also. You need the skill to get there.
So majors, you did lead 36. Next was Nashville, 34. And then it gets down to the teams that, like Arizona, Anaheim, Chicago, that were up there too, because they're fighting for different reasons. But yeah, you guys led the league in majors. I think you did last year too. I think there's an element to the Wild's game and probably their identity that is brawny,
Yeah.
But I think it sometimes that can bite you too. Like this year, the penalty kill. And I don't know that there was too many games where it was like, that's a terrible call. And I think the refereeing was, for the most part, consistent. Like, there'd be a lot of trips or a lot of different calls where you're like, that's not really a trip, but the guy steps on it, but they call both ways. So you're like, whatever, that's fine. But long story short, I think referees do know, though, that there are teams that are big, that are physical, that play a certain way, and they over time just get an extra penalty here or there. And I think that stings when the kill isn't great. So, I mean, what was it this year you think about the penalty kill that struggled from start to finish?
Yeah, that's a good question. And like I said in my press conference, I think I killed 5 penalties in my career, so I don't really know all that much about it. But
you played power play, and what's hard to play a power play?
You know what? We were just so passive, and we were just entries against us were easy. It seemed we didn't execute with the puck when we needed to. I think it got better as the season went on, with the little kind of small area plays to each other before a clear, rather than just trying to shoot it through 8 guys. Goaltending needed to be a little better on it. That's for sure. But I just think the overall aggressiveness and attention to detail wasn't where it needed to be.
And so, when you reflect on that seems easily fixed. Then, like, you go into the offseason, you more attention to detail, different things, and then boom, you go. And I'm going to build in an excuse here, because I think it's more important than 5-on-5 play. But you miss a guy like Jared Spurgeon who would kill half your penalties. So he'd be on the ice for half of the time that you're short, if not maybe even a little bit more than that. Mm-hmm. And he's an unbelievable killer. And now those D, a lot of the goals, late in the year were goal line attack goals. So they're like dots down. It's not like Kucherov. It's not Ovechkin one-timers from way up there. So it was those reads down low that teams started to be able to find space in and make plays. Missing a guy like Spurgeon, that he might bring your penalty kill up 5 percentage points, 6 percentage points himself. And that's a huge miss.
I think personnel has a lot to do with it. But we can fix anything, on the whiteboard with X's and O's. We can fix all that. Then it's up to the players to execute it. We didn't execute at a high level on it. I think personnel has a lot to do with it. Spurge, we missed him this year. Guy like Freddie was out for a long time this year, who's normally a really good penalty killer. He had some injuries. I mean, Marcus has been out. Marcus is a really good penalty killer. So personnel, it definitely has something to do with it.
I played forward. I still give the D more credit. I think they're more important on the kill than the forwards are. We're kind of chasers, you're kind of like a zone guy, but the D are the ones that really make it. D and the goaltender. That's the way I always look at it. Like we help those guys out. So missing the D, missing the forwards, that hurts. Like certainly face-offs, up the ice, on the entries, those things, it hurts. In zone, I think it's the D that really shine. But
the entries were the ones that would really bother me, because a lot of the time it was just too easy. It was too easy to just gain the zone on us, where I felt like when we were on the power play, it wasn't as easy for us to get in. I'm like, well, what the hell are we doing wrong? So there's some elements of it that we can definitely fix, and I know John is, kind of, alluded to that we need to.
He's got that page earmarked.
Yeah, he's on it. He's on it.
I want to jump into Faber quick, because now everything that he's done, it's impressive, and we've talked about it at length, how great he was on the ice, and what he was able to do in terms of jumping into an NHL schedule, the rigors of the game, the best of the best, top line minutes, 25 minutes a night, offensively able to produce, run a power play. That's already a long list. I'm curious if it impresses you, because it's probably, in my opinion, harder for a 20, 21-year-old guy to be able to handle all of the stuff off of the ice. So all of the media requests, all of the attention, all of the articles, all of the, hey, this for Calder, you're great, you're this. How do you think he handled that stuff? Because the stuff on the ice, I think we've talked about, we've covered. He's been really good. Off the ice, how do you think he handled that stuff, and how did that help him be good on the ice?
Well, I think he handled it great. I don't see. I didn't notice any change in him. Around the rink or anything like that. Brock's a pretty quiet kid. He's, I just don't think, I don't think that's in his DNA to, let all this stuff kind of get to him and change him. He is who he is. I think he loves being in Minnesota and loves playing for the Wild, and all this other stuff. It's just stuff. Like he's a hockey player, and I know he comes from a good family, and I just don't see it affecting him. So I thought he handled it great. And
was there any?
Those are great. You know what? Those are cool things for a player too. Like those are things that like keep getting better and better in the game today. Like you see him with like his glasses and his
the marketing of the player.
Yes, yeah. The NHL is we didn't have that way back.
Right.
You had to be like a superstar to have like all these deals, things like that. Now, you got to have a little bit of game and a little bit of personality, and it's available to you. But I think that the league and the teams do a much better job of that today, and I think it's really fun for the guys.
But and the point I'm making is I can remember early on in the year where it would be Nick Foligno, or I think maybe even Corey Perry before things fell apart there, talking about Bedard, saying like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe what this guy has to deal with off the ice. That was actually never a narrative around here, because I think Faber handled it himself just like wonderfully. Like I'm impressed. Didn't let it get to
Under
him.
the radar type stuff.
Under the radar, but handled
it
it.
was really
Not
good.
I found that to be impressive. Like it's hard to be consistent on the ice 82 games, especially with all the distraction off the ice. And he did both, but he
That's
doesn't
the
get credit
biggest
for the
thing.
off ice stuff.
No, that's the biggest thing too, is not letting it affect the on ice product. You can, you know what? I don't know. You can do all the endorsement deals you want, and that's good and great. I hope it doesn't affect the player, his personality, his relationships, all that stuff, his ego. But the most important thing is, if it affects your play, then we got a problem.
I heard a story, and I don't know if this is true. I'm kind of a couple degrees removed, but it was a good one. When the Wild were looking at Faber, I heard there was a phone call, to somebody, and somebody had said, he's Charlie McAvoy. And which, if I go a year back, having watched him at the U, and someone told me he's Charlie McAvoy, I wouldn't have thought that was the case. And it was sort of like, okay, done. Where do we sign?
yeah.
But is that something people were saying? Because it's true now. When I look at them, they're very similar style-wise. But if I were to start this season and you said, does Brock Faber walk into the NHL his rookie year and play like Charlie McAvoy? I don't know.
Charlie McAvoy today.
Today.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Not as
I
a
wouldn't-
rookie.
I wouldn't have said the offensive
Yeah.
part of it.
Especially, I saw you at Mariucci a bunch. I mean, that's not what he did there.
No, because you know what? He didn't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, they had those guys. They had. I think Lacombe was playing. Most of the power plays. So he didn't have to. They were stacked. And it. So he just had to focus on the defensive side. And it's just, hey, look, it's funny what happens when you get to the NHL and one of your top guys goes down and you jump into that hole. And then they say let's just give him a try up there. It's a right shot. He moves well. He can walk the line. Let's try it out, and it works. And you just kind of discover this stuff, and so does he. And then his confidence grows, and yeah, he can turn into that. So he had a great year.
Well, and I stayed on the D. This Declan Chisholm, we always say don't play cards with Billy Garen. It was like, this story reminds me of like when Kurt Warner was bagging groceries and, I know he was just in the healthy scratch for a while, but man, can he skate? And, that's a diamond in the rough there. Tell me, how did that come across your radar? I know maybe Hines knew him and you had some connection to him.
No.
Somebody was connected maybe, or no?
Yeah, no. It was
Scouting?
Yes, it was. Yeah. David McLean, who's our pro scout up in Canada, called Chris Kelleher, and Chris and Matt Sells connected, and they said, David recommends putting a claim in on this kid and thinks there's something there. And so I said, okay, let's do it. And that's the way it happened. So, scouting and, David's willingness to pick up the phone and put his neck on the line, that's big. When you got a guy that just said, this is something we need to do, I have to speak up. And then, it kind of goes up the chain to Kells and Matt and then to me. And yeah, it was a great call because this kid's got some talent. And, in John's words, he has things that he just naturally does that some other people can't. And I think it's going to take a little time to like kind of fine tune him. He's got first power play talent and ability. I think it's just a matter of fine tuning some of it and getting him more experience.
When was the claim again? Right around Christmas or summertime?
Yeah, I think it was.
Just before, maybe December. I think it was December.
It's right around one of the breaks.
Yeah. So maybe the Christmas break. The point is, though, that Winnipeg also knew they had something because they didn't want to expose him to waivers before they had healthy D all the way up. So he wasn't getting a chance to play. He's just sitting in the press box. And I think we talked to Declan, and he said that I think that they just were like, hey, he's got to play. So they essentially were going to end up putting him. They can't just sit here all.
Take a chance, and you try to get him down.
And it's what's best for the player. We can't just keep him here and not let him play. That's not fair to the player either. And So waivers
team,
worked.
We were not the only team to put a claim in.
And waivers work. That's why waivers are there for players like that. You got a good player that's boxed out, can't be there. Team did the right thing, I think, putting him on waivers, giving him a chance, and now he's here playing the NHL. It worked out great for the player and for the club, so that was wonderful.
Yeah, the back end, I mean, you look, so Spurgeon coming back healthy. Obviously, Brock developed at a rate he never would have been in the fire like that. Declan, I thought Middleton people forget that Jake went on
7 goals.
That guy went on that same ride. Where
a goalie paddle.
He scored 2 goals on that backhand move. Now he thinks it's thinks that's his.
He's trying to patent it.
Yeah,
that's his bread and butter
move.
That's his bread and butter. He'll
just start shooting the puck.
He's running camps this summer, I think, at TRIA, offensive stick handling camps. And then you got, I think, Brodin, if you look at what he did when he was in the lineup offensively, he was on a tear too. So feels like that's a point of strength. So I like to be a man of the people, Billy, and we put the docks in this weekend in our neighborhood. And I was asking the guys, I said, I'm going to interview Billy. I said, what does success look like next year for the Wild as a fan, right? And this is what they said. They said, man, if we can get back into the playoffs, the psyche of this town, which we'll get into maybe, he's like, you got the exact same team. You got to run it back. And if you can, stay healthy, take a step forward, some of these kids that got burned in the fire and then they become stronger. Like, he was like, these guys were like, that would be, people they're not going to know what to think. And then if you do that, you're really going to be on the front foot, and then the money comes back into the wallet and let's go. So I'm just curious, when you think 24-25, do you do that? Do you say, what does success look like? I know you want to win now, but how do you think about a season like that?
Yeah, I do. And I think getting back to the playoffs is it's imperative. Like, that's what we need to do. Like, we have this year just didn't go well at all, in a lot of different ways. There were some bright moments, but health-wise it wasn't good. I don't think it was good execution-wise. I think we had, like I said, we had some good players that had bad years, or off years, however you want to phrase it. So if we can just kind of take this extra time that we have this year to rest bodies and minds, get back into peak physical shape, stay healthy, and just come back fresh and hungry and ready to go. And like I said, get our swagger back. Like, just get our belief. We're a good team. You know what? We're a good team. And kind of like that take no shit attitude, that's helped us. And I think that's something that we didn't really have this year. And I've all those things I said, that's just not for the players, that's for the coaches, that's for me, the hockey ops staff. Like, we all need to be better, and we all need to help get this thing back on track, going in the right direction.
So I said this probably 2 podcasts ago. The Wild felt like a playoff team that didn't make the playoffs. Like, they're a good team that couldn't get over some circumstances, maybe didn't have the right attitude at the right time, whatever it might be. But it was a playoff team that missed the playoffs. And the West, I think, was a little bit harder than the East. Now, you go to the East, there were some similar ones too, and teams that maybe aren't playoff teams that are in. So and you don't have to comment on this, but you look like a Washington, maybe not a playoff team, but they're in. Pittsburgh maybe kind of was a playoff team, but didn't make it. I think Minnesota falls under the category of, like, they're outside the playoffs, so they're not a playoff team. But they're a team that should have, based on expectation, talent, composition of the club, they are a playoff team that didn't make it. So that's where you have to look at the gap and say, why? Why did we miss it? And then it could be some of these didn't have the right attitude, could be goaltending, could be penalty kill, could be that. But do you find that to be a fair narrative, that this is a playoff club that just didn't make it versus being one of these teams that isn't a playoff hockey club?
We could be a playoff team, but we don't have a great margin for error, and that's what happened to us this year. We didn't perform well in the big games. You know what? We had some injuries. We had a terrible start. So that margin for error just gets, you know, smaller and smaller and smaller. So we shot ourselves in the foot. So we look like a playoff team sometimes, but we didn't play like it enough this year.
So how come big games? How come they couldn't find a way to win one when it mattered?
Well, that's part of what we need to fix. That's part of the attitude and the swagger and the mental side of the game. You don't just go out in a big game against Colorado or Dallas or Winnipeg.
Nashville.
You don't just go out and just play the game.
You take it.
You have to understand the stakes that are involved in that game. You have to understand the detail that you need. That, you know, at a wall battle in your defensive zone is critical. You know, not turning the puck over at the offensive blue line is critical. Things like that, like your D zone, like all these things, they have to be in place. And we were loose.
Starts, because you mentioned a poor start. You guys got behind the 8 ball. I think that's a couple years in a row with slow starts.
Yeah.
So what's the story there? Is that, you know, does that change the way that
The story
you pressure guys?
The story is that we got to get our shit together earlier, before the season starts. Our attitude's got to change. And, you know, I don't buy this. Oh, this guy starts slow. Oh, he always starts slow. Comes on later. We don't have time for that. This league is unforgiving. It is unforgiving for bad starts, and we've proved it.
And you know what's so interesting about that? Consistently, Carts, we heard about 2 guys that said last summer was the most important summer of their life. Mm-hmm. It was Brock Faber and Marco Rossi.
The only 2 guys that play 82.
They played 82 games, and they had great seasons. They had that Michael Jordan mentality of, how am I going to get better this summer?
Hungry.
What am I going to do to take care of my body? You know, how am I, like, they attacked it. And if you can keep adding pieces like that. So I'm curious, when you do your exit meetings and people are going into their summer and they all got their own guy and their own gym, like how do you flip that switch where your reach is further away in the summertime? But how do you get that kind of, this is the most important summer of my life? Because if you win the cup, it is. You know, it doesn't matter how old you are. If that's when you started being great, it is. So how do you get that into the water?
We have, you know, our strength and conditioning coach, Matt Harder, goes out and visits guys. And we have certain guys that there are certain guys you don't have to worry about, and then there's certain guys that you have to worry about. And he goes out and visits those guys. And we have to make sure that they are ready to go, and that they're in the best possible shape that they can be in, and that they're ready to go.
Do you think coaching's harder now too? Because I think about those 2 guys that it was the most important summer of their lives. They were hungry. They put the work in. They absolutely wanted it. An opportunity for those guys was not guaranteed. Like they had to earn it. Now coaching is hard now because it's different. You can't. It feels this way that you can't take opportunity from guys to say, well, you got a little bit of fat cat syndrome, so now I'm gonna take your food away. You know, I'm gonna take your ice away, and then all of a sudden, boom, they get going a little bit. It doesn't seem like it works that way much anymore. But that's what makes coaching hard, I think.
Coaching's harder today, but it's also better today, because I think they put a lot into the relationships with the players, the treatment of the players, the old way of just, you know, you're fat, I'm taking your fork away, and you know this and that, and
scratch it without telling you,
yelling
make you
at
figure
guys,
it out,
kind of bullying guys into playing well. You can't do that anymore, which is good. That's a good thing. So coaches actually have to put in a lot of thought to how they're communicating with the players, how they're handling certain situations. It's just better. It's just better because I feel like they're treating them. I mean, I know your stories from Anaheim and Randy Carlyle they're hilarious, but they're not.
Right. Hilarious that like that actually occurred kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy that occurd.
That didn't make
it's
you
crazy
better
that occurred. You can't do that anymore.
It's called trauma.
And you know what? You can't, but you shouldn't. So there is a way too. Like if there is, and you know what, I mean, I know you can go back to it, like in a big deal is always made out of like your body fat or your weight or whatever. You know, 5 pounds to me in my game was a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If I was 220 and I should have been 215, I can tell on the ice
Same.
that I was slower, and my coach could too. But I think that's a way of, you know, there's a way today of relaying that better than it was back then. But no, you know what? I'm a firm believer though, if you're not doing the right thing, if you're not doing what it takes to be at your best, and this is the greatest, most I don't know, impactful. I was talking to Jacques Lemaire. We had I don't know, my God, I don't even know how many years ago this was. We had a Stanley Cup reunion for our '95 team, and I was chatting with Jacques about star players and how do you get them going and how do you deal with them and stuff like that. And it was a simple thing he said, but it was just brilliant. And he's like, you know, it doesn't matter how much money a guy makes or this or that or anything. He's like, I'm the coach. I control the most powerful thing in the game.
TOI.
Ice time. And if you're not giving the coach what he wants, he's not going to give you what you want. And that really, it's a simple thing that really hit me hard. And yeah, so if even in today's day, if you're not doing the right things, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not performing consistently, if you're not playing hard, if you're not, then you know what? I'm a firm believer, and then just cut the guy's ice back. We don't have to play a guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if he's making $10, $15 million. We're not obligated. We're obligated to pay you. We're not obligated to play you. So we need to get what we want.
You want value.
We want our value. And if you're not giving it to us, then there are other guys in line waiting for this, or performing hard. So yeah, you have to. You know, we have to do it in a different way today, which is good, but we still have to do it.
With hindsight being 2020, what the trip to Sweden? What were the pros and what were the cons of that?
I thought it was good. I mean, I really did, and I was pushing for that. I wanted to do it. I think things like that I think they're good for the team. It's different. You know what? It mixes it up. It kind of just it just changes things. You know, I think a lot was said. Well, you didn't win a game. Well, okay. Well, what do we do? Losing a shootout and losing
Twice.
overtime?
Both, yeah.
So if we went there and won one and lost one,
Be the same.
it would be the same. Like, I don't know, we got 2 out of 4 points. It was fine. But I thought it was a good camaraderie thing. I thought it was a good team building thing. I thought it was good for the Minnesota Wild, for the brand.
That's where I was going to go.
Involved in something like that. I think that's important for our brand to be involved in stuff like that. They want to have good teams doing that stuff. They want to have teams that bring excitement and fans on board for that stuff. We had so many fans over there.
Mm-hmm.
We had to buy other teams' tickets to accommodate our fans, which is crazy.
Yes.
Like, it's just nuts.
You couldn't go out without running into Wild fans.
No,
everywhere. It was awesome.
you couldn't. And I think probably living around here, probably a lot of our fans use it to go see family.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
You know?
that's right.
But it was great, and I would do that as often as we can. I just think it's good for us.
I think you're right. And to curtail on the Faber comments, where all of a sudden you have these marketable players, you have to be in the NHL spotlight doing that stuff with your team, with your players, to have top tier marketable NHL players and a marketable NHL franchise. You know what I mean, right? And there are pros to that, absolutely. But then I think there are probably some cons to it too at times. And do any hit the top of your head there? Like the schedule, the rigors, the road time.
I don't know. I try to go back to my playing days a lot and just think about things like that. And as a player, would I have liked this? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Would I have complained about the travel? No. I just don't see it as all that taxing. Like you know what, when you talk about like you talk about like back-to-back games. You talk about like, you know what, 14 games in the month of March. That's hard. Like just we played 2 games in like a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, we took a 8-hour flight over to Stockholm. You know, the plane was really nice.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to
Like
say. We got to thank Craig because the hotel was nice. We got to thank Craig. The hotel was nice.
Yeah.
The plane was nice. Everything was first class. The accommodations, the travel, everything made it so easy to. Well,
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't have to play a game, but I could have.
I guess the hardest thing would be adjusting to the
zone.
time change. Yeah, but I don't know. We travel pretty awesome.
I think-
like, it's
Yeah, I think we also have to look at it. Like the team was struggling going into that trip, and there was a lot of excitement around it. That could have been a lightning rod that switched the season around and gone the other direction too. And it was close. It was close.
We
Like,
played 2 of our better games.
Overtime win in maybe that first game or the second game, then all of a sudden things might be a lot different. But there was a lot of excitement, I think, from the players, from the people, from everybody leading up to that trip, into the trip, and coming out of it. I think you're right, where it wasn't terribly taxing. 2 games in 10, 12 days, whatever it was, the time change and stuff. But overall,
I don't know. I'm not.
If you ask me again, I'd vote I'd go.
I'm not a big believer in complaining about the schedule and this and that. I feel like if you're complaining about the schedule, then you're already beat. You're beating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like just suck it up.
And
Like,
sometimes those
it's-
teams
it's
win it.
hard- it's
You know,
hard-
Boston won it when they
We
took
won
the
it in
trip.
09.
Yeah, they
I wasn't
took
in
the
I
trip
wasn't
and they
in-
won it.
I wasn't in Pittsburgh, but
It can go
they
either
started
way.
the season 08-09 in
Prague or something.
yeah,
right?
something like that, and we won that year. Like if you let it beat you,
Yeah, Toronto was there, and they're in the playoffs.
I mean, if you complain about it, like then you're already beat. Like just suck it up and don't worry about it. Just play.
I want to hear. So, you're an optimist, and I think it's so positive. Like we need it in Minnesota. We'll get into that in a second. But you know, what did this season feel like for you? Because I'm just a podcaster, right? But it felt like 5
You're
seasons.
not just a podcaster. You are way more than that.
Thank you. But I can feel
The kid I introduced you, my buddy John Joyce
Yeah,
from back home.
Boston College again. We
I
did get it
introduced you
done.
to his son Gavin,
Yeah.
and I'm like, Gavin, you know, this is the hockey hair video guy, and he was like, what? Like he was jacked up to meet you. You're
That's
not just a
good.
podcast.
That's good.
guy.
Well, when I do the podcast and I'm 225 or 240, I can feel a difference. I can really feel a difference.
Kinger, you touched on the fact that 235, 225, you can tell the difference. If you want to be closer to 225, you should probably eat some healthy foods, and that includes coleslaw. Am I wrong or am I right here?
You're absolutely right. And if I was going to do that, it would be Jimmy's coleslaw. They got the original. They got the pineapple. I like you get the cabbage and you mix it up. You can shake it up in the bag, which is kind of fun. Maybe put that new Taylor Swift, record on and give it a little shake. Get it by the baked beans. Maybe put it on the burger itself. Maybe put it on fish tacos. It's a world of possibility. Family-run Minnesota company. Jimmy's down in Stewartville, Minnesota. Check them out. You can find them at your neighborhood grocery store. Don't you be messing with my dressing. Hey, so you did the bathroom remodel. How well do you think this would have gone if you had maybe enlisted some professionals?
Well, I can tell you that my 45 and 90 degree miter cuts are not perfect.
Do you have one of those triangles?
Yeah,
I bought that at the hardware store.
just to have.
I did some. I put the attachments on my gutter so they lift up.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Gutter
like when
guy?
you're mowing, yeah, you can just put them up.
Yeah, well, if you need new gutters, Wild Construction can help you
Okay,
out.
good,
And if you need to be like me and throw the towel in on your bathroom renovation, they can help you out there too. But whatever your construction needs are, we're getting into exterior season. So if you had some roof issues, some damage, potential storms of last year, can take up to 12 months for some of that to show up. Call these guys. They've got all the resources you need on their website to find out if you were within the radius of a storm and if there was hail. Get them up on your roof. They'll check it out. They'll find out if there's any damage. It could be to the gutters too, and they'll be able to replace those. Siding, windows, you name it, they've got it. Check them out, wildconstruction.com. We've talked about this. They've leveled up. Wildconstruction.com. They'll make it happen.
The season felt like 5 seasons in one, and I think for us it was because the year before we had the slow start where we were like chasing water, and it almost was like each season was connected to the one before in some weird way. Like, oh, we had the magical season, and then we had the hard season, and then now the long Sweden trip and all this stuff. Did it feel like that to you, or are you kind of like, that's just not your personality? And I think the pro to that is we're going to have a reset now. I mean, there really is an opportunity to be like, all that stuff, whatever it was, theories, slow starts, it's over. Now we got a fresh slate. But did you feel like it was a grind this year, or was it just like a regular year for you?
No, it was a grind.
Yeah.
It was a grind because of that, like all the different
Coaching change.
Yeah, like, poor start, coaching change, played great under John, injuries, struggled, played great again. All these things where, you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. There was a time, I think we were like 5th from the bottom. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh boy, this is not good. This is different. And then we started battling back, and, to the guys' credit, they never quit. And they played hard until, you're mathematically eliminated. And even beyond that, they played hard. But, they never stopped. And it's just, like you're up, you're down, you're at the bottom, then you're creeping back up, and then you're right in there in those, going back to it. You play Nashville and St. Louis back-to-back, and you pretty much get smoked.
Yeah.
That's tough. And then you realize maybe this is just not going to happen. And so there were a lot of different things, but we need to reset and really do a deep dive into what we have here. And I think the players need to, and I think they will, think about what they need to be better at and how they can have a better season. And we'll do our side on the personnel side and the coaching side and all that stuff.
Can you talk about you've been here long enough, the Minnesota psyche, okay? So we have just this, like the Timberwolves they draw Phoenix, right? Everybody's, we're done, we're going to play Phoenix,
Phoenix beat them every time.
And they're like, it's over, right? And so, whether it's Gopher hockey super team coming up one game short, first round exits, all this. So swagger. Isn't it true that you've had a lot of success? Carts won a couple. Like in Minnesota, we got an 07-08 banner and a banner for the fans hanging in the rafters, right? So how do you think through swagger and like enough of this bullshit? Let's go, because that's what it's going to take to change a city.
That's the way I think. I understand. I'm new here. I'm not from here. I'm an outsider. I get it. And I'm not a fan.
Don't get it on you.
I'm not a fan. This is my job. So I don't look at it like a fan does. I really don't care what happened 20 years ago or whatever, because I wasn't working here. Now it's my job. I care about what I'm doing with this team and moving forward and how we are building. So I have that attitude of let's just get this shit done. Let's just keep going and going and going. But it's different, and I sympathize. I grew up a Red Sox fan. We went 100 years, right? I remember in 04, that was important for us to win. I'm like, crap, here we go again. But I don't think like that here, because this is my job, and I don't care. You know what was really cool? My wife and I went to Cuzzies the other night. Down in the North Loop with my daughter and her boyfriend. And we went in for a couple beers, and the Timberwolves game was on. And the place was jammed. and they were cheering, and everybody was pumped. At the end of the game, everybody clapped, and that was great. That was awesome. And I think I'm going to do that I want to do that for one of our games.
Yeah, do you feel a little jealous? Were you a little
Oh, I was
jealous?
totally jealous.
I know.
I was so mad, but I was like, this is awesome. Like people care.
Oh, they care.
It's
They
a big
care.
sports town.
It is a big
and it's a
sports
defense.
town.
The mentality, and this is why we say that we're trying to break a mold, because the defense mechanism in the marketplace is to not fully invest and put yourself out there, because it will hurt more when you are let down. So what they do is they build this wall up, and I'd be guilty of it too, that says, hey, you know what? They're going to fail. That way I'm not all the way invested, and if they do fail, I was right. At least I was right, and I didn't fully invest in it. But we got to push that wall down, because something changed in Boston in 2004.
Yes.
They had to win. There had to be like a belief. There had to be something, but something changed then, and then from that point on, they started to win more. They started to believe. Now the Patriots win. Now everybody wins. Now it goes, right? So something has to break that
And
mold.
look at the change that some of the other teams are doing too in the market. Like the Vikes are going through a big change. Timberwolves have gone through a big change. We're going through big change.
Yeah, but be the first.
But
Get there first.
I know.
Get there
We want to
first.
be the first, but like it's good. Change is good. You move on and you keep going forward. Like this is a great sports.
It's a great sports town.
This is a great
and
sports
it's ready to be unlocked, because it's
Oh my
locked up
God.
right now. It's like in an enclosed trailer in the middle of the
I
United
think
States,
there's
parked
some
up at
good-
the
I
up
think
at
there's some
somebody's
good stuff
cabin.
coming from
Once
all
those doors open and the championship trophies rolled out, this place will be
I
unbelievable.
think there's some good stuff coming from all the teams, and I get it. I get it. But like you said, like go all in. Yeah, you might get hurt.
it might hurt.
Yes. So what? But you're going to be there.
It's like my 22-year-old son says when we have a pile of pull tabs in front of us in a basket. He just looks at me and says, "It just takes one."
Yeah, that's another. I don't,
true.
I don't get that. Maybe because I haven't won one. But
I know, but I'm telling you that
it takes one.
That's what it takes. Like and everything will be different. We'll walk different. The sun will be out longer. They probably won't have daylight savings time. They'll have statues of all of
You
us.
got to start walking that way first.
There we go.
You got to start walking that way first. You got to have your swagger. You got to have your head up, your chin up, your chest out. Like this is a great sports town. We've got some great teams. Somebody will eventually win.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Every once in a while, you got to take an elbow from Mark Messier cutting across the
Exactly.
blue line, go to the bench, come back out, and beat him.
Right wing.
That was
right wing.
Yeah, that was a cool experience the other day watching the Timberwolves play. I thought it was awesome. You could tell the building was electric. The bar was packed. Like everybody was watching it.
You were
great.
close to it too, Cuzzies. You're right down in it with
Yeah.
the dollar bills hanging on
And
the wall.
that's the name of the podcast, Wild on 7th. There's going to be a parade going down 7th Street.
Oh, we can see it. And the beauty of this, so this is the coolest thing. We always say we're here till it's here. So when you guys break through, we never do a podcast again.
walk
It's a
off.
walk-off.
Yeah.
That's badass,
That's
don't you
even
think?
more incentive.
Yeah, exactly. You can put us out of you can put us out of business.
Now you're going to take the podcast out of him. Now he won't be a podcast anymore. Soul searching at 50. You know he's turning
Remember
50.
John? Yeah, he was just a podcast.
Can we do American hockey for a minute? I apologize. I messed up on the World Championships. You're the Four Nations and the Olympic guy, but you're vested in the World Championships because you're basically saying if you want a shot on these other
Don't
teams,
sleep on 'em.
Give me a look. Let's get some guys there and see what we have.
Yeah, you know what? And it's not I'm not holding a gun to guys' heads. Like people have different reasons for not going, and that's fine. I get it. We need to put more importance on the World Championships
Sure.
as management, as players, as everything. It's important. Like it means something. Like it's not very popular in the United States, and that's okay. You remember what Sweden won in 17 or something like that? You know, they like shut down Stockholm.
The
Like,
European
like
countries, it's a huge deal. Like
It's
Russians?
when they win it, it's huge.
Yeah.
Do you know the
And-
last
and
time
we
the
don't-
U.S. won it?
1933
It's unbelievable.
in Prague.
I can't even believe it. 1933.
You know what that illustrates, though? Desire. Want. Those guys in those countries, they want it.
Importance.
Because
It's important.
to them. They want
We
it.
need to put more importance on it.
Yeah.
As a hockey community, it's not gonna grow like, to where the whole. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it will, but it needs to start with us, with the hockey players community. It's USA Hockey. It's important to USA Hockey, and we need to take that seriously.
Right. Yeah. The World Championships are different. And sometimes this is maybe I shouldn't go here, but like the Russians in different European countries, they love the World
They
Championship.
love it.
In some ways, that's maybe hard for a general manager because the players, they truly do love it, right? And I'm not saying that there aren't guys that don't love winning a Stanley Cup, but there are guys out there that would rather not compete for a Stanley Cup and would like to go win a World Championships.
There are stories of guys, star players, superstar players, generational players. They lose in the first round of the playoffs. They're on a plane the next day
That's where they want to go.
because they want to go there. It's
Yeah.
important, and they're going to win.
And what U.S. records show is that if you don't want it and you don't prioritize, it doesn't just happen.
Right.
I went in like 2012 and we tried hard. We played hard. Bronze medal was the best we could do. And in some ways it is hard because you'll go over there and you'll play against guys that you've never really even heard of before. And then all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, they're good. Because they have been
They're
playing
good, and they're
together.
taking it seriously,
Yeah.
and they're trying to win. Actually,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I like that narrative.
So you have a bronze medal.
Yeah, World
Yeah,
Championship.
that's good. Like
From the Worlds, that's what I said. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
the goal.
yeah.
that's a step. Like,
You're in the Wikipedia entry, I'm sure.
No,
for
but that's a step. Like, but we have to get.
I almost got relegated once too. That's the start of my back
That's
problems.
scary. Yeah.
So this story is we're playing Italy and we're about to get relegated in Cologne, Germany, and I was like losing my mind because I was like, this is embarrassing. Like we're about to get relegated. We might lose to Italy right now, and I turn it up a notch. I'm skating down the ice. I catch like a pass to the neutral zone, and the referee was on the side of me. Like he's like right on the blue line, and I go to pick up the pass full speed, and he doesn't jump on the wall, so I clip him with my hip, and I just get twisted, flipped full speed. It was about 3 minutes left in this Italy game because it was tied, and I was like, I'm not getting relegated. Fully sent it, and then it was bad. So that's when I first herniated the disc in my back, and then that summer was awful. But
You won the game though.
Wait,
we ended up winning the game and not getting relegated. Yeah,
Jeez.
but not because of me.
I thought you were gonna say I smoked the ref. I flipped around, went down,
Scored.
Just go.
No, that's
No,
where it
you
ended.
just hurt your back.
Yeah. That was the start of the
Still
back
ace.
pain. This is great. This is great. Go there, almost get relegated, leave with a herniated disc in your back because you're so mad.
Hey, so Four Nations, is that a stoppage next season?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So February 12th to the 20th. Hey, I did look into something for you. It takes 15.5 months to naturalize a citizen. So Kirill could become a U.S. citizen in 15 and a half months.
Yeah,
And
we've
so
talked
dual,
about that.
it's like the Brett Hull thing. Like he's already in Minnesota. He's got a spot around here. So something for you to look into. And then I'm just excited with this group. Really, we haven't had best on best since Matthews and McDavid and these guys were on that rookie team with the World Cup. To have the Kachuk brothers and Hughes brothers and Kreider and Brock and all these guys, I think I'm expecting a decade of let's go. It's the American-born decade. Do you think you'll build teams in that? I mean, you got these like a Brady Kachuk type. Do you think that you think back to your era, that hard to play against, high skill, mean? Is that kind of something, or do you think it'll be a mix with all the?
I think it's got to be a mix. I mean, hey, look, don't forget the players that we had on that team too. Like there was some serious skill. You just had a couple meatheads running around.
Skill and violence.
Well, we need the skill. Like we need and we have it.
Oh yeah.
You can never guarantee wins and promise wins and things like that, but we can surely put a team on the ice that is going to give us a chance at that.
Yeah, that's my number one, USA Hockey, my ride or die above everything. So it'd be good. I'm glad you're at the helm. It'd be fun to watch.
Me
some
too.
of these
It's a
guys.
big honor. It's something I'm really excited about it. It's It's great.
Will you go to the World Championships then and watch?
Yeah,
so you'll be there.
I'm going to go for a week at the end, the second half.
Is it on TV? Is it on NHL Network? Can we watch that? I want to get dialed
it's
in
on
on
TV. I forget what I think NHL Network carries.
Sometimes NHL Network.
At the end, they probably put them on. I definitely want to dial that up.
And it could be exciting, especially in Czech, like Karts was saying. It's just huge over there, and it's important, and it's a great tournament. I mean, there's some games that the two teams they won't probably won't advance, but you see how hard everybody plays, and I was over there a couple of years ago. It was oh my God, what a great what a great time. It was in Cologne and Paris.
Yikes!
And yeah, it was unbelievable. Like
That's a long ways from Tootsie's.
yeah, it sure is. And it was great, and I went to both. But you see the Slovenia versus Italy game, and it's these guys, like, chances of them advancing are probably slim, but they're playing as hard as everybody else. Like it means a lot to them, and it's a good tournament.
Why don't hockey fans take that trip? Like, why wouldn't I go to the World Championships? And it's kind of like, if they're in these amazing countries,
it's in great cities, in these amazing countries, and
drink and eat,
so much.
We should do a couple podcasts from the Four Nations next year.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah. Or maybe the World Championships if you want to.
Where else is,
You got some time?
Get out of that bathroom.
Stop watching
remodel.
NASCAR.
I've been to a bunch of them now, and they're just.
European fans are fun too, man.
They're just
because they get into it like soccer. So sometimes the hockey games turn into like the soccer games with the
when
noisemakers.
we're in Cologne. I was in Cologne, and you'd go watch Germany versus U.S. or Germany versus Canada, any German game. The rink was packed. I mean, jam packed. The chants were incredible. There's a guy sitting in the fan, like the crazy fan section, and he hit a drum the whole game. Never stopped. And then within that, chants would come, and it's great.
Yeah, it is.
It's fun.
One more story of the time in Cologne. At the time, we played in a soccer stadium, and it set the record for highest attendance of any hockey game.
That's cool.
So it was U.S. versus Germany. And it was a low-event hockey game. I think it was like 1-1, maybe 2-1 in a shootout or something like that. But the fans were standing up the entire time. There was a haze in the building. I think you could still smoke in the buildings. And I remember going to the locker room and taking my jersey off, and it reminded me of like when you were at a bar when you were 20. And
The next day,
your shirt would smell like secondhand smoke, kind of. But it was a great atmosphere. The place was jammed. It was like 70-some thousand people in there to watch Germany play their game. Special stadium, special moment. It was really cool. But the Europeans, it's worth it. It'd be worth the trip, man.
It would be.
it's Prague and Ostrava.
Ostrava.
So that's a tasty one too. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe
Ostrava's just it's a really small town. There's nothing too much going on over there, and that's where the U.S. is. We're in that bracket. We have to make it to the medal round to get over to Prague.
let's look at our airline miles. I mean, we're not doing anything. Let's go over there.
It's worth it. It's awesome.
All right, last one I want to ask you before we let you go is what's it going to take from now until 1 year? You have a calendar year to be able to provide Wild fans the bar experience that you had with excitement watching the Timberwolves win. Is it going to be, a big summer in terms of personnel change? Is it going to be what is it you think that you have 12 months to create, to give fans that experience?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think we have to make some changes. Where that will be, I don't know yet, but I think that's important. I think the main thing is to get that swagger back, that attitude back. We've always had that we've always had that little FU in our game, and we didn't have enough of it this year, and we have to get back to that. And that's that's performing in the big games, performing in, in tough away games. It's performing when, you can move up in the standings with these next couple games. Like, we have to get that back. And that to me is where, that to me is the biggest thing, our attitude that will get us back. And maybe, honestly, I'll go watch game 1 at Cuzzies with everybody.
There you go. That'd be make it a deal, a date. Maybe we got to bring back the all-in poker chips. You remember that one?
Not bringing those back.
You're not bringing those back?
We're not.
Those are all out.
Those are all out. Yeah.
Those are all out.
That was a great round of golf we played, though.
That was fun.
Remember,
Double deep eddies and lemonade.
I can't find. I can't find the picture. We were laughing so hard. It was a simple thing he did, right? I can't find the picture. Maybe you have it.
Tony might have it.
What did you do?
Honestly, it was this stupid, simple thing that he did. There was a little sign stuck in the grass, and it said carts with a little arrow. And he ran over and laid down next to it.
I saw that on Instagram.
I just caught it as there, just hit me as like really funny. I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
That you should put that back here.
Yeah, get that photo up
Put
there.
that right there.
That's
Yeah,
good.
that was a good one.
Be good. All right. Well, anything else, Kinger?
No, man, thanks for coming. I was really excited to have you back, and kind of, I feel like we needed this.
Yeah, Billy put a bow on it.
Yeah, Billy put a bow on it, and I hope you have a great summer. Maybe we'll go into Prague. I do want Kirill to come on the podcast really bad, like for my birthday or for his birthday.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Whatever you can do. I don't know. It's been a couple years now, 3 years. I want to open him up. We'll be super nice to him.
He's never done this.
No.
Oh, he can do it. He'll do
He
it.
could do it, right?
do it.
Like 10
Some
minutes.
point in time, he'll do it.
When he's ready, we're ready. But thanks for being here, Billy.
Thanks for having me.
Have a
on,
great
guys.
start
I
to the
appreciate
summer.
everything you guys do for us. You're always, I told Panther the other day, last month, I've watched a lot of games on TV. And you and him are always just, no matter what's going on, extremely positive. And
They're
about
good.
the team and the future and all this stuff, and I appreciate that. And you guys together are just awesome. Always behind us, and it's nice to have. This is you guys do a great job.
Well, thanks for teaching us how to walk with our chests out. We'll try to work on that here in Minnesota. And thanks. Have a
down
good
here,
start to
220.
your summer.
right.
Maybe we'll see you in Prague.
Thanks. See it. So, Kinger, what we've coming back out of this after Billy. He just left the room, so hopefully now you can calm back down and get your train of thought back on course here. Was that intimidating? Like that? Did that frighten you a little bit when he walked in? There is a weird element when somebody's waiting for you, but when he enters the room, it's a little different.
He's scary. I think Zuki's scary too. You remember when he came in and he was looking
He sat
at
on the chair.
and he sorry. But he sat on the chair and he hadn't been on the pod. He's kind of a golden goose like Kirill, and he just staring at the person going. Billy's scary. I mean, he's a little. I like him a lot, and he's awesome, and he's fun, and he's changed the culture of the Wild. But he's intimidating. You don't want to make the Billy Garen wait.
No.
Even though I gave him a GM duty of the World Championship teams, which apparently he's not, so I think I traded it back. But hey, by the way, that Cuzzy story, that's your promo clips right there, man. Like him basically saying, you got to have the swagger before you win. It's chicken egg, right? It's the same thing we started the podcast with, right?
We covered the basis.
Yeah. Do you win one? It just takes one and then everything changes, or do you change it and then you win one? And he's saying you change it and you win one.
How are you feeling after that? Because
That helped me a lot.
Same. We titled it "Billy Puts a Bow on It."
Yeah.
And he did. I feel better.
Well, that Cuzzy story.
It's like this is a leather couch right here, and he just laid us down on it, like feathered our hair and told us everything's going to be okay. And now I kind of feel like it is.
Him sitting at Cuzzy's with his family in a beer-soaked dollar bill bar, mere blocks from the Target Center. The one place where no one's going to recognize him in the world, just being in that atmosphere with people going crazy when Ant's scoring all the points and we beat the Suns, and saying, I want that. And it kind of pisses me off that the Timberwolves have it. I want that. I want to be.
Say that, but I'm glad we pulled that out of him.
I want to bring this to Minnesota for the Wild. And he was very complimentary of the Timberwolves and the other teams, but yeah, I mean, the thing that the fans were saying on the driveway with me, they said, "Hey man, there's going to be no expectations next year. You know, we missed the playoffs. We got to bring the exact same team back, basically. We got one more year of the cap hell." They were like, "Yeah, you make the playoffs? I mean, that's going to be great. People will be damn happy about it. And then anything can happen." And so I like that. And he laid it down. He's like, "Yeah, it's imperative. That's what we have to do."
Another one he shot down, which surprised me a little bit, was when I said, like, I think the Wild were a playoff team that didn't make the playoffs versus like a non-playoff team. You know, like they're good enough, and he kind of was.
He doesn't want that soundbite probably running around on the internet too.
He's just, well, I think he's being honest too. Like he just didn't feel. I think he has an understanding of what a playoff team is, and maybe that's what I would take from that is. He didn't see enough from the club in like critical moments to be a playoff team. So to be a playoff team, you have to have some resolve. You have to have some bite, some jam, some swagger. And maybe he didn't see that stuff. And despite the fact that on paper, that's what should be a playoff team, it didn't play that way. That was intriguing too.
Well, you asked him that question, and like, why? Why don't we win those big games? You know, why are we mid? The worst word in Minnesota sports, mid. You know, good enough to be good, not good enough to be great. And
we need to call it the Win West, not the Midwest. Yes. Okay.
I like that. I used to say being a Minnesota sports fan is like a 4-beer night. You can't drive, but you're not drunk either. That's the worst. But he was like, I don't know why, and we got to change it. And if we have to make some changes to change it, I mean, I think the only thing that's discouraging to me as I look at the playoffs, I know he hasn't watched yet, but you see Pat Maroon just fearless for Boston. Even Duhaime's wrapping himself up in a crash test dummy for Avalanche against Winnipeg. It's kind of – it bums me out because you got guys like Hartman. Dumba even had this in the playoffs historically where you go, those are playoff guys. Those are guys when it gets really kind of gross, they're going to be there when you need them. You know, Kirill has that. I think Faber has that. Eck. But I don't know. Billy knows who those guys are, right? When he signed Pat, it was to drag people into the fight. If you remember, that was his line because he felt like some of our guys in the playoffs weren't very good last year. But I'll be interested to see what he does. He doesn't have a lot of wiggle room. So how do you change the swagger and the attitude of your team with not very much money?
Well, yeah, boy, I think you probably circle a guy like Bogosian a little bit. Now I think it illustrates the importance. That illustrates the importance of a guy like Matt Dumba. Why you're willing to maybe overpay him a little bit, or
he was great in the playoffs,
to accept some of the issues that may come up on the ice because of the importance to everybody else in the locker room, and collectively he raises the tide, and high tide raises all ships. And he's got to find a guy like that. So maybe Bogosian with 4 months with this group can come back and be more of a lightning rod, a vocal piece. The Wild they did lose their captain right off the bat. Marcus Foligno for big chunks of time. So a lot of their personality and the voice in that room was gone too. But and the ability of those guys to play matters too. Like Jared Spurgeon has scored big goals, and Marcus Foligno has scored some big goals too. Those are the guys that need to step up in those moments, and without them, I think we saw the product.
I really think it could be Moose. You know, I remember when we asked Billy. I always thought Billy was like a Heartsy a little bit. I know that they're different players, but he was like, no, Moose. Like, if I look at the roster of our current team, I was the most similar to Marcus Foligno, and he doesn't mean that in hockey DB terms. He just means psyche. And I think Moose could be the guy when it comes to swagger, throwing helmets. You know, he's done it in games. Like he single-handedly won that maybe Buffalo game or Chicago game this year where he kind of did it all. I think it was Chicago. But if he can be the guy, he doesn't need to be the guy that does it on the ice necessarily. He doesn't need to get every point and every goal, but if he could be our Braveheart face-painted gladiator, I think Moose could be a huge piece to getting our swagger back.
I agree wholeheartedly. So let's put our own bow on this. Again, thanks to all the listeners. Without playoff hockey, that's going to be a wrap. We were going to touch a little bit on the NHL playoffs. We will for just a quick second here. But thanks to everybody for listening. We'll get something going again around the draft and free agency and critical dates. But we appreciate everybody listening, the support of the Wild, the marketing team, Huss, the producer, Brooklyn over here, always helping us out, and everybody that has had a hand in this. We thank you. It's tough. It's a little early for these sentiments. I wish it was probably June and we had a bottle of champagne on the table, but that seems to not be the case this year. It's coming.
Yeah, and I want to thank you, Karts. I love doing this with you ever since we were driving to green screen, stepping over syringes, walking into a dark room to do it, just the two of us. Huss, thank you for everything that you do. We got to find a way to give you a little more Granelli treatment to this thing so you're more front and center on it. But no, it's been great. And to the fans, thanks for listening. The thing that I'm going to miss, I guess my closing thought, not a lot of people know this, but some of our all-time best downloads, listens, were when we made the decision last year to do a pod after every single game of the playoffs, which wasn't something we had scheduled. And that just shows what Minnesota wants, right? That's what I'm really bummed out not to have. Whether it was painful or great, like Billy said, you got to feel it all. You got to be willing to be hurt to feel the joy. So I look forward to being back in the playoffs and doing pods after every game and just being way too emotional and trying to sort through it all and trying to be like Pete DeBoer and manage the storyline better than we can. But thank you for everybody that listened and our sponsors and the digital team and Freddie and everybody and Mitch and everybody that makes it happen.
Yep, we couldn't have said it better. So with that, let's pick your team. Who do you think's going to win? Because we have to have bragging rights the next time we talk here. So you get one from the East, one from the West.
Okay. I know they're the only team that's lost one game basically. Obviously other teams have, but I picked Nashville as they're my Florida Panthers of this year. Everybody's underestimating them, and I think Colorado and Winnipeg kill each other in that series. Maybe Vegas and Dallas do too, and somehow Nashville gets there, down 0-1. And then the Rangers are just too good. This whole Matt Rempe and it's just and it's so New York just to have this circus that they can watch for 2 months. I mean, I don't see anybody beating the Rangers.
So I'm gonna go with. If I was placing a bet in Vegas because I wanted to cash a big one,
you need odds.
It would be Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg's the sleeper. My other pick, so the number 2 would probably be Dallas. I just do think that Dallas is buttoned up, and I want to see Pavelski win a Stanley Cup. I think that he sacrificed a lot, man. There's a couple images. Who was he with? San Jose, maybe, when they were playing Vegas, and then he hit his head, and he's bleeding there. And the dude's just a warrior. He's good every year. He shouldn't be as good as he is at 38, 39 years old. Let's get that guy a cup. Wild aren't in it, so I can officially root for him. But I think it's Winnipeg. Dallas has probably got my heart. And then out east is Carolina. I think it's Carolina's time. They've got the goaltender. They've got 8 good D. They've got guys.
Who is Carolina's goaltender?
Freddie Anderson.
Okay.
So they've rotated all year. Freddie Anderson, the argument is he's made of glass. He gets hurt a lot, but I think he'll show up this time of year. He doesn't have a lot of miles on the body because he didn't play a lot of games. So he's fresh as a daisy going into the playoffs. He could be great. And as long as they can stay healthy up front and score, they've got Gensel now. That was always been their issue, much like the Wild this year where they didn't have secondary scoring. Carolina didn't have secondary scoring. If one of their big guys got hurt in a playoff run, that was it. They were done. And now they've got some depth there, and I think they're dangerous.
One of the things that's going to be interesting to watch is I think McKinnon's going to turn Middlestad into his little Gensel. I think Casey Middlestad's going to be
Cha-ching.
cha-ching.
Gosh, that'd be so nice. Like his Chris
I mean,
Kunitz.
he's that
like Sidney
he's skilled
Crosby's
enough.
Chris Kunitz.
Yeah, I think he's going to literally be like every shift. Hey, go here,
Do this.
do this,
Get it back.
stick here, that. Remember last time? Look at the iPad, and I mean, what a great position to be in if you're number 37, Middlestad, just going, okay, Nate Dogg.
I could do that. Drew Ann was that guy, but now it's because he's hurt, so it's Middlestat now. Okay, yeah, let's wrap. This is a long episode. If you're still listening, you're a true Wild fan, and we do appreciate you. We're here
Till it's here.